Hello there,
Hello there.
and welcome to What If Qui-Gon Didn't Die with me, Jamie.
And me, Sean.
And in this episode, we are going to be talking about what if Count Dooku wasn't killed by Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah, not to get the name of the podcast mixed up.
Yeah, because
It just rolls off the tongue, didn't die, because there's so many Star Wars things which are, what if so-and-so didn't die?
Yeah, all these alternate ideas,
Yeah.
and they all involve people dying beforehand.
Yeah. So yeah, we're going to talk about Anakin beheading Dooku.
Yeah,
A little setup for the scene, for those of you who haven't seen the film in a little while. I wouldn't be surprised. It's one of the more, for me, slower ones.
yeah,
You know, even though it's a big part of Anakin's story,
yeah.
the film itself is still
parts in it,
quite
yeah.
it's still quite slow to me. That's just my personal opinion. So at the beginning of the film, if I can remember correctly, Obi-Wan and Anakin are sent off to find Grievous's ship, and they have that big battle because Grievous is kidnapped. You know, in brackets, yeah, kidnapped thoroughly. Palpatine.
Yeah,
And what happens was they go on the ship. Grievous escapes anyway. Palpatine's there, but Dooku's there because he's the head of the Separatists again, in brackets, head of the Separatists.
Yes.
Obviously he's not, it's Palpatine, but everybody knows that by the end, blah, blah, blah. What happens then is Obi-Wan and Anakin fight Dooku, don't they, on the bridge. And Palps is just sat in the chair. This all-powerful Sith Lord isn't even doing his like Dumbledore finger magic. He's just sat there watching.
just watching, yeah.
He's probably got a little boner over it.
Master manipulator.
Master manipulator, just rubbing his ego at the goings on. And then when they finally subdue Dooku, but by the way, let's just say Christopher Lee, excellent swordsman,
What a legend.
absolute legend, designed his own lightsaber.
Yeah,
So the curved hilt, he told them to make it like that for him, the prop.
amazing.
Because he actually learned how to sword fight properly. And I think it goes back from when he was in the army and he did actually have to use swords.
Oh, cool.
Or something like that. There is a long backstory about why his sword, his lightsaber handles like that. Really interesting. And an excellent actor, Christopher Lee. And just to go off on a bit of a tangent, one of his great quotes I love reading is when producers in films try to make people die, and he would say people don't sound like that when they die.
Yeah.
And it's actually because he knows, because he's heard it, because obviously he was quite old and he'd obviously been in war.
Yeah.
So he knew. And I just thought, what an absolute man to stand up and say, that's wrong, because I've heard it for real. You have no idea the trauma of it. And I know it's quite a dark thing to talk about, but just goes to show that he had the experience. But also he's a great swordsman. I love his lightsaber anyway.
I know, and also he's made music.
And he's made music. He wasn't a band.
A
Heavy metal band, wasn't it? It was a metal band.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that's just another. He's done it all though, isn't he?
Oh, he's man of many talents.
Yeah, I think he's a great actor.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, anyway, so somehow he loses the fight between Obi-Wan and Anakin, whereas in the second film he kicked their asses and Yoda had to come save him. So they've grown up a little bit. And then, so they subdue him, and Big Daddy Palpatine basically gets Anakin to behead him.
Yeah.
With the cross dual chop, no less. There's just no honour in that.
No, gruesome.
Yeah.
Unnecessary.
Considering in the first episode we were talking about big samurai influences, you know, and it's all about honour and stuff like that. Anakin just is like a dirty teenager.
Oh yeah, he's nasty, isn't he?
He's flashing his head off. So anyway, that's where we're at.
Yeah.
And I'm a little bit. It's a hard one because if Dooku's there and he says, "Oh, don't do it," and Obi-Wan's saying, "Anakin, don't do it.
Yeah.
This isn't the Jedi way. We'll take him back because we need him anyway." And we know from, obviously now, we know from the little...
Oh yeah, the little animated
20-minute things that they released. Can't remember the name. He's actually quite good. His reasoning for being a Sith Lord is because he wants to stop the cycle.
Yeah.
So actually, I reckon if they took him back and he explained everything about Palpatine and who he is, and it's all a big ploy and blah blah blah, because he does know a bit of it. Maybe it would change the story anyway.
Yeah.
But at this moment anyway. So what? Yeah, if Anakin then listened to Obi-Wan and said, "No, I won't do this," do you think Palpatine would have done it there and then? Of course, Obi-Wan's there. And he's trying to cover up that he's this Sith Lord. He's trying to make out that he's this innocent bystander and all these things are happening to him for no reason. Do you think he would have just grabbed a lightsaber and done it and shocked everybody at his flawless swordsmanship with a lightsaber, even though he's never supposed to have held one in his life? Or do you think he would have left it and then they would have taken Dooku back, or what? What do you reckon?
I don't think he could reveal his position, could he?
This is the thing, but then he did with Mace. And he did when they all charged into the room, and he did get a bit nasty. I know it was later on in the film.
And I would say he was more cornered there. He didn't.
I guess he wasn't cornered. No,
he still had now. He can still play that innocent. He's just a civilian, isn't he? With a bit of. He's not a fighter. He's not a. Nobody's seen him fight. Nobody's seen him angry. He's a
diplomat.
He's a diplomat. Does Anakin know at that point, really, or is he just under the spell, so he's not really aware?
No, I think that bit of the film is before Anakin gets asked to go and spy on him.
Yeah.
So I think they were asked to rescue him, and I can't remember if he had already sort of formed some form of relationship with Palpatine. I can't really remember the second film well enough. But yeah, it's weird as well because they disarmed Dooku. So, but would he have tried to have gone for Palpatine to be like, "Oh, I've had enough of this"? What do you think? Do you think maybe Obi-Wan would have then killed him because he had no choice?
It's difficult, isn't it? Because they've gone from they're fighting for defense, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the impression. And it's only when Palpatine, if I remember correctly, he's meek, isn't he? In the way he's, oh no, he's gonna hurt me. You better kill him because he's a Sith Lord. Blah.
Yeah, he's the one planning everything. He's the head of the Separatists.
Yeah, let's kill him now and stop his reign of terror,
his rampage.
Now, Anakin should have known that that's not the Jedi way.
Yeah,
I don't think Obi-Wan would have done it.
No.
Because he would have just gone, no, we need to bring him before the council.
Yeah.
And then we need to interrogate and we need to find out
what's really going on.
What's happening, yeah.
Because Obi-Wan does suspect. I think Mace, you see the scene at the end of Attack of the Clones with Yoda and Mace and they're in and Obi, they're in the transport, aren't they? Is that at the end of that one? And they're talking about it. Again, it's all a bit blurry. I should have really rewatched them all before we did this, but it's been a busy time.
It's part of the fun, isn't it?
Yeah, but yeah, I don't think Obi-Wan would have done it.
The thing is, Palpatine needs Dooku to die.
That's why he's orchestrated the kidnap, isn't it? Essentially,
because Dooku's the only person who knows who Palpatine is.
Yeah, really.
With the exception of Darth Maul, who at that point, for all intents and purposes, he's dead. He's out of the picture.
Yeah. Yeah,
we know he's not, but he's the only person who knows who Palpatine really is. So Dooku is a loose end. That's why he's desperate for him to be killed on the spot. Yeah. The normal Jedi way would be to take him back, interrogate, work out what's going on, and move forward. And then they would have discovered at that point that Palpatine is the real Sith Lord. But Palpatine at that point wasn't in the position of power he needed to be.
No. To
then create the Empire.
Because it was only after that he made the Senate rule, didn't he? And became the Empire.
Yeah, he needed more pieces in place.
Because it's all a big puzzle, isn't it?
Yeah.
And like you say, Dooku was a loose end because he did know who he was, and I know Grievous escaped, but it was obvious that the council was going to send Obi-Wan to get Grievous at a later point anyway.
Yeah.
He's destined to die, But
did Grievous know that Palpatine was the Emperor? Do you think he
kept that much.
Yeah, probably not.
I don't think because he answered to Dooku, didn't he?
Yeah, true.
Grievous answered to Dooku. Much like, you wouldn't have seen the Clone Wars, but Dooku had an apprentice called Visage Ventress.
I've heard of.
You've heard of, yeah. Oh, she was in the them little shorts. Yeah, so I think you would have seen her anyway. But I think she didn't know Because obviously when he does the hologram, he's got his hood up and you can only see the bottom of his face.
That's right, yeah.
And he's all wrinkly. But of course, when he is acting diplomat, he takes it off and he puts on a bit of makeup and
Yeah, he looks okay.
looks lovely, jubbly. Yeah.
Very smart.
Very smart. Yes. But if say the Emperor goes, right, okay, they've got Dooku. I'll have to think of another way here to kill him. They would have gone back to Coruscant where the Jedi Temple is, and they would have spoke to Dooku and stuff like that. I reckon before it got too far, the Emperor would have done something to kill him anyway.
He would have found a way.
Do you think he would have got one of his little dweebs who work in office to poison his drink, or there'd be some way?
He would have a way.
One of the most powerful Jedi and the most coolest ones, Count Dooku. And if he was just about to go, do you know what? I'll tell him everything. Don't care anymore. I've been tricked.
Yeah, he's just tried to kill me.
Yeah, so I'll just dump him in.
Yeah,
screw it.
I've had enough.
I reckon Palpatine would have had him killed anyway. Before they even spoke to him, he would have been dead in his cell, and they'd go, "What's happened to him? Don't know. The droid brought him his drink. Oh, look, it's full of acid." It would have been one of those "oh, I got your" moments, just so the story had to progress.
Yeah.
But imagine if he did drop it all, and then straight away you got Yoda and Mace going in there and sorting them out. Anakin would have been shunted away, I think. They would have gone, right, you get away from him right now, because he's obviously gunning for you.
Yeah.
Because you're the chosen one. We didn't realise. Come here. Go and get Padme. She's going to be all right. We'll go and take care of Palpatine. Because I don't think Anakin at that point, even if he was thinking about joining Palpatine, I don't think he would have tried to take on the entire Jedi Council. If earlier in the film they had known what Palpatine was and they said, "You stay away, Obi-Wan, keep him away."
Yeah.
And maybe Obi-Wan and Anakin would have had a fight. Like at the end.
Yeah, they probably would have always been destined to fight.
But maybe it would have been Anakin needed Palpatine because he's still worried about Padme dying. So he would have gone, the Council can't go for him, I need to stop them. And then he fights Obi-Wan.
Yeah, maybe Anakin would always have ended up there.
Yeah, be destined to cross blades with Obi-Wan to get to Palpatine, whatever situation it is. And then Dooku, I think, I don't know, because can you see Dooku going after Palpatine if he told him everything and he said, "All right, well, this is it. Let me go after him. I'm a swordsman. It will be honourable. I can earn back my trust or whatever."
Yeah, I suppose it would maybe for the honour. Do you think he would, as he knows Palpatine, he probably knows to a degree Palpatine's power as well. He's not going to be Palpatine's apprentice if he thinks he's stronger than Palpatine, is he?
No, this is true, because he has his own apprentice.
Do you think that he would then go, "I don't want any part of this, or by myself, or we all need to go together because it's going to be dangerous.
It's going to be the biggest boss fight
you've
ever seen"?
Or do you think he goes, "No,
I'll do this.
It's been the error of my ways has been following him, and I need to address this and fix it"? Do you think that maybe then he would go by himself, perhaps?
I think he would, yeah. If he made a case for himself, I reckon the old hands like Yoda and Mace Windu would let him go. Because you think he used to be in the council.
But do you think then that those people in the Jedi Council would say, "Well, hang on, you were there once before"?
Oh, that's very true, yeah.
And if you go back, have we just reunited a powerful duo?
Well, yeah, maybe.
They might have to keep him away, I suppose.
Or maybe they all went together. Maybe they'd lock him away and send him down, and then they'd all go and just leave him there without a lightsaber.
But then you've got I suppose the next thing is, for Palpatine, he's got Order 66 in his back pocket, hasn't he?
This is true.
So at any point, he just has to give the order, and all those clones just switch.
Turn on the Jedi. But the clones only get into the temple through Anakin. I don't think there's any clones in the Jedi temple at that point in the film. I think at the end, Anakin takes them in. Because all of the clones are... Because there's still a bit of the campaigns going on, so a lot of the clones are actually on duty.
Yeah.
And that's why they then turn on their Jedis, because every clone detachment has a general, which is a Jedi from the council or a master or something, with their apprentice, and that's all sort of where Kanan Jarrus comes from and stuff like that. So I don't know if there's any in the temple. So even if he clicked all the 66 earlier in the film to save himself, I don't think there would have been clones near where they were, unless by some story sort of happenstance that they showed up at the Senator's chambers and were shooting them. But then that many Jedi from the Council, if they all went, do you think they could subdue them?
It's hard to say. It's when you see them and they're in the stadium, whatever, the arena.
Oh yeah, the Australian arena. You've seen the meme.
Yeah. That's a lot of clones, and that's a lot of Jedi.
That's very true.
And the clones, really, they win that fight, don't they?
Yeah.
They don't defeat every Jedi, but they win the fight, and they defeat enough Jedi that actually, if that Order 66 had been enacted before they were all the Jedi were separated, perhaps it would have made no difference. They could have surrounded the Jedi Council and locked them in, and Palpatine could have just been on his merry way.
That's true. Am I getting confused now? Because wasn't Dooku at that? Or was that the second film? That's the second film in the Australian thing, because Dooku's there, and so's Padme and Boba Fett.
Oh yeah. I think you're right. I think I might have.
So maybe that's the second
crossed my wires.
Cross films, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's easy to do, isn't it?
Yeah. Because Dooku is there.
Yeah.
Why do I think that's in the third film then?
So when's Order if that's Order 66?
Because Order 66 is before the fight on Mustafar. Because obviously at the end, he's decided he's going to join Palpatine, old Anakin. It's already happened because Yoda's gone into hiding.
Yeah.
And it's at that point Padme's like, don't do it because I'm pregnant. I'm literally about to give birth. He pushes her over. They fight. Obi-Wan leaves him in the dust, and then he takes Padme to go and give birth. And Yoda's there, and he goes, best split these kids up.
Yeah, I could have sworn that arena, the Aussie arena, was going to be that.
Unless
there can't have been two arenas.
No, because he had short hair and his rat's tail then, Anakin. So he was still in his Padawan phase.
No, okay, yeah.
He wasn't in his General Skywalker phase, which is the last film. It's all moulded into one.
It really has, isn't it?
I haven't watched them recently, look close enough to have it all fresh.
Just trying to think of every single avenue, and
we've crossed swords, so to speak.
We've mushed our brains.
We have, yeah. Because Dooku's definitely there. So let's just say that's in the second film. So that's before this.
Okay, yeah.
But even then, Dooku's already. I think there's a conversation between him and who's up there with him? It's not Jabba, because Boba's up there anyway, and he's talking to somebody, and I think you get the vibe that he's a bad guy, but I mean he doesn't. He's
doing shadow work, isn't he?
It's like he doesn't really want Obi-Wan, Padme, and Anakin to die from these three beasties. It's all a bit much.
He wants more on it, doesn't he?
Because they're on Geonosis, isn't it? That's the second film. They're on Geonosis.
Yeah.
With all the flying bug people.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah, and I don't think he wants them to die because it's not part of the plan. Raise eyebrows. Ooh, the plan.
The big Anna plan.
That's it. Yeah. But then, in my eyes, why don't they just send Boba Fett after Palpatine? He's got that rifle. Just shoot him in the head. They could send every bounty after him, and I know it's wrong because the Jedi don't use them. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, well, that's the reason, then, isn't it?
That's the reason. But what if they just did that? Because the essential thing is, if Dooku didn't die, for him to stay alive, Palpatine has to die.
Yeah, that's the only way.
And obviously that can't happen because of story mode. But
I suppose as well, they couldn't send a bounty hunter, because if the bounty hunter fails, which is likely, given Palpatine's alleged power, they don't know, but they feel like he's going to be very powerful.
Yeah.
They send a bounty hunter, they can send 10 if they want. If he defeats them, then he's aware and he's running.
And they know. But also they'll know because the bounty hunters will be dead and they'll go, how did a diplomat, chancellor, kill these, bounty hunters? And they're badass.
At that point, Palpatine is gone.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
So how do you arrest somebody when you don't know who they are or where they are?
Where they are, yeah.
So they need to go there to apprehend him, because the only real equal he's going to have is going to be a Jedi.
Yeah, yeah.
Really, they don't believe in their arrogance, as the Jedi Council is. They won't believe that Palpatine would be more powerful than Yoda.
No, that's true.
Or
Yeah,
Mace
they're
Windu.
very
They
sort of biased on their inward looking, aren't they?
yeah.
Because as well, I guess if he did do a runner, would he have gone to General Grievous, and then Obi-Wan would have gone there to find Grievous, found Palpatine. Maybe Palpatine would have killed Obi-Wan, and then Anakin would have found Palpatine and gone, "Oh, you are powerful to beat my master. I might as well just bend the knee."
Yeah,
and then he would have become Vader anyway. If this whole thing, and it still spirals into the story would have to happen the same way, wouldn't it? Down the old drain now.
I'm coming to the realisation that doesn't matter what question we ask, Anakin will always be Vader.
There's no avenue where he can't.
Because there's always going to be
something.
It's almost never against the odds.
Yeah.
Palpatine is always able somehow to.
Oh, he's always one step ahead.
Yeah.
One step ahead. He's always got something up his sleeve. It's like contingency plans left, right, and centre. You know, and he has got a few senators in his pocket, so I guess maybe he could go into hiding. But and it's like I said earlier, if Dooku didn't die on the ship from Anakin, there would have been something else Palpatine could do to make Anakin turn, because obviously that was a turning point for Anakin. That was the turn in the road, killing Dooku. He would have had something else planned for Anakin. But even if Dooku survived, and he told the council, it would have been the same outcome at the end of the film, because they would have known it was him. Mace Windu would die. Anakin would be turned.
Windu through the window.
Windu through the window. Yeah.
Defenestrated.
Yeah. And then Dooku would have died anyway, because Palpatine maybe would have sent Anakin to kill him later on. Oh, he's in his cell under the Jedi Council. I know you're not a master, but
yeah, go
and just stab him through the wall.
Because he doesn't have that honour, does he? If those roles were reversed, if Anakin was in the cell and Dooku was sent, and Anakin had no weapons,
I think Dooku would let him live, or at least give him a weapon to try and defend himself.
There would be honour in that fight.
Yeah, but I don't think if Palpatine was able to get into Anakin's little immature head and be like, "Oh, just go and get him through the bars."
I wonder if there's a similarity between Count Dooku and Qui-Gon Jinn. I feel like there's a lot of honour.
He was Qui-Gon's master.
Yeah, there's you can tell there's a sort of
duty, honour, and respect.
Yeah,
and
above all.
Yeah, yeah. And this is what I feel for Dooku, because he's not a bad guy in the fact that, he's big bad evil, he's a Final Fantasy boss sort of thing. He's just he's joined the Separatists because he wants change.
Yeah.
It's like he's doing the wrong thing but for the right reasons.
Yeah, and I think that's what captures Anakin as well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this is it.
This is the lure, isn't it, of the dark side. It's not the evil, because nobody wants to be evil. Nobody wants to be seen as evil.
No.
They're tempted by alternate.
The means to the ends are evil, aren't they? And the reasoning.
But the reasoning is pure, but the path is dark.
Yeah, yeah.
Snap.
Jinx. but yeah, I think however way we spin it, and it was the same with the Qui-Gon episode. He would have had to have died.
You can't find a way around it.
No, at some point, Palpatine would make sure he's dead. And it doesn't matter if it's after all the Jedi have gone after him and he's dealt with them. It wouldn't matter if it was after Order 66. Because at that point, it doesn't matter. Because good soldiers follow orders.
Yeah.
So you go, I know Dooku's not on your list. Kill him anyway. And they go, absolutely, Commander.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, yeah. Consider it done. Orders received. I can't do a New Zealand accent.
No, me neither. I'm not even going to try.
No. Shouldn't have even tried. Hello there. I'm going to go and kill him now. Nearly there. It's like a kiddie version.
Sure. I say this as I cannot even get close.
But yeah, it's a shame because I would love to have seen it. The only way Dooku would live, and if they did like a little short animation on it, because I do love Dooku, is Palpatine would have to die and Anakin would have to die.
Yeah.
And then Dooku would come back and he would maybe reinsert himself. Maybe he'd change the Jedi Order. Because maybe he'd become one of those grey Jedi who wander around. Maybe, after watching the recent Ahsoka series, he would be a bit like
I know who you mean.
the imposing big boy.
Yeah, the Inquisitor. Grand. Yeah. He's not. Is he Grand?
He's not an Inquisitor.
No,
he's like he's got the blood orange lightsaber.
Yeah.
Oh, what's his name?
I know who you mean.
Yeah, the truth of it. I miss the idea of it. That bloke.
Yeah.
I reckon he'd become a bit like him, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, he just needs somebody to give him direction, but he does things for what he believes is the right reason.
The right reason. And maybe he would go and find the Mortis gods. Maybe he would go and find Kanan Jarrus, for example. Maybe insert himself into the Rebels somehow, be a hidden member. But the shame is, for him to survive, Anakin's story can't happen. Because again, it's that point in the road for Anakin. It's what did we say in the first one? It's the canon event. That's it. It's a canon event. So even if it's at the beginning of the film or at the end, Anakin would end up in front of Dooku and do the deed, which is a shame. Because I wish they did a little bit more in the animated series about before Dooku.
I would like to see more Dooku for sure.
Like when he had Qui-Gon as his apprentice.
Yeah.
Put it back a good couple of years. Let's have a look at the growth and how he became how he is today.
Wouldn't you like to see Dooku in his prime?
Oh yeah,
teaching Qui-Gon, who's not quite sure yet, but is looking up to a master in Dooku.
Yeah,
and learning and taking this knowledge from him and developing into Qui-Gon
as we love him.
Yeah,
yeah, but he draws all of that honour and all of them ideas from Dooku. Because obviously back then he's not even Count, is he? He's just
I don't know what
I can't remember what his Jedi name was now. That's in that little short as well, isn't it?
What's he a count of?
Separatists.
The count of Separatists.
Count
Dooku.
Separatist Dooku. I can't remember his actual Jedi name. I don't think it's Dooku either.
No.
No. I'll have a check in a minute. Oh, Dooku had sworn allegiance to the Sith Lord Darth Sidious, taking the name Darth Tyrannus. Oh, so he would have just been Count Dooku, and then he becomes Darth Tyrannus in the background. Count Dooku of Sereno. There you go. So he was always a Count, then he became Darth.
He's Count of Sereno then.
Yeah, Count of Sereno, then becomes Darth. Yeah. That's why I was getting confused, because I was thinking, I'm sure he wasn't always Count.
He's got other names.
But yeah, it's a shame, because I think if he could grasp the circle of two Sith, Jedi always lose, then they come back, and obviously this has been happening a long, long time, and obviously in the end, what's his face that we mentioned from Ahsoka, he knows that circle.
Yeah.
If Dooku realised that sooner and was able to grasp the knowledge of how to stop that cycle, I don't think he would ever have found Palpatine and gone, do you know what, I'll follow this guy because he's trying to make a difference.
Because he would have recognised the issue.
Yeah, beforehand, and he would have taught Qui-Gon to, this is what we're going to do. We're going to follow the Force. We're going to try and put a stop to the cycle. And even if we have to do things a little bit differently, we're not just White Knights, Jedi Council. We're going to be Jedi. It's
interesting because Yoda knows.
Yeah, this is it.
But why is he not sharing that information?
Yoda's a sneaky little boy.
If that's important information to withhold, so why wouldn't you let it be known among the council, at least, which Dooku was a part of at one point? If he knew that and let everybody know, they'd always be more vigilant.
Oh, of course they would.
Yeah, he's kept that information quiet and actually caused damage.
But he's always looking for the other side, isn't he, Yoda? I think he's, from the first films that were released, they had this legend which was Yoda, and I think people are going to rip me head off here, but I think they kind of overdid it a bit in the prequels. They could have kept him a little bit mystifying, not so prominent, so that when you saw him, oh, there's a funny green dude from the first films who trained Luke.
I think they could have kept him even away from the council.
Yeah, and just been this crazy old master, like living on the outskirts.
Yeah.
But then he did make good storytelling that Yoda was the only one who could defeat Tyrannus, Count Dooku. And stuff like that. And the only reason why Anakin and Obi-Wan got the upper hand on him was because it was 2 against 1. And yes, my powers have doubled since last we met. But really, it was all because Sidious wanted it to happen that way.
Yeah.
So actually, it's a shame. I'd love to see a bit more Dooku. Using his sword techniques as well. Just a little shot of him teaching Qui-Gon how to use the sword like he does. Imagine the sort of fatherly yet master, because it would have been like an old school master and apprentice. Because we only see Obi-Wan and Anakin's, and we've said this before, haven't we, about how
they're too immature to teach each other.
Even Obi-Wan's immature at that point. And by the time Revenge of the Sith is over, Obi-Wan's only just understanding potentially what he's done to ruin this relationship.
Yeah.
And how immature he's been. Even though he looks old and he's got the beard, he's still quite a young master.
Yeah, he is.
And maybe we would have seen... It'd be nice to see a sort of different take on Master and Apprentice, which is Dooku and Qui-Gon.
Yeah, a bit
and
more experience.
The difference in Jedi views as well. Because it was all very Clone Wars-y. Everything's really quick. We're going to do loads of battles. We're going to fight lots. It's really cool. But how's about the honourable, we're going to travel around and make sure that this world's all right sort of Jedi. And I reckon that's sort of what they would have been. Oh, yeah.
What could have been.
Yeah, what could have been. But again, it's either Palpatine dies and Anakin's story goes down the drain for Dooku to live, or Anakin's story has to thrive, so Dooku has to die.
I feel like this will be one of those murder mystery, unsolved crimes podcasts in disguise.
Yeah, well, this is it. Yeah.
What is the answer? Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Here's all the evidence, but nobody knows.
Yeah. Because I mean, it's like the Darth Maul thing.
Yeah.
From that, they didn't have to bring him back, but it did push a storyline, which we'll talk about at a later date. Would Dooku still being alive have pushed a different storyline they could have worked on? But then maybe the storyline from the Clone Wars wouldn't have been Darth Maul. Maybe they would have involved Dooku a bit more. Because Dooku was involved in the Clone Wars a lot. But maybe they would have pushed it a different way to then make the film different. Even though it was released beforehand and stuff like that. But maybe all of these little events would have been flipped on their heads, and it would have been somebody else in Dooku's shoes. Maybe there would always be somebody who's leading Grievous, and Palpatine appoints. It just so happens that Dooku was there, and he offered to bend the knee and become Darth Tyrannus.
Yeah.
For obviously his greater good view, and I need to do this to sort the galaxy out, sort of thing. And then he did become a bad guy and all the rest of it. But it would have been somebody else maybe anyway, and Anakin would have then killed them. I'm
having a thought here. What if Dooku survived, was duly taken back to the Jedi Council, but he escapes?
Ooh.
He disappears. He goes off-grid completely. Palpatine can't find him. For whatever reason, even with all his power, cannot find Dooku. But Dooku knows Anakin's still there. Anakin's still able to be moulded and turned into Darth Vader. His storyline can still continue because Palpatine just finds somebody else to be that linchpin in Anakin's mental state. Yeah. So he ends up killing, say, Mace Windu.
Yeah.
Because in that office, in Palpatine's office at the desk, where who knows what he's doing there, but he's just sitting at a desk. He sees Mace Windu come to attack him. Anakin's there. He saves Palpatine's life because he knows
Palpatine's the only one who can save Padme. So he injures Mace, but it's Palpatine who kills him, isn't it? Throws him out the window.
But then maybe Anakin
would have just killed him.
Would have just killed him, yeah.
Yeah.
To protect.
This is what I mean. So there's always a point where Anakin would kill.
Yes. But Dooku is still somewhere in the picture. We don't know where he's gone, but he's still about. At this point, when does Dooku then re-emerge after some time away, some time of training or practicing or gathering a small force or whatever, to then take on Palpatine, knowing exactly who he is? Wouldn't underestimate him like Mace Windu did.
No. Maybe he would find Ezra Bridger and the Rebels. You ain't seen Rebels, have you?
No.
But if Dooku had found Ezra, he would have been somehow collided into Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm.
So even though Anakin's Darth Vader at that point, he may be able to come back in a different way.
Yeah.
With the Rebels.
So Dooku could survive.
He could have, yeah, and then.
But it would rely on him escaping and disappearing.
He would have done an Obi to Ben job because he wouldn't be Count Dooku anymore. He would just be, oh, look at old man Mowgli on the edge of the wastes over there, on a different planet. Lothal, I think, is it Lothal where the Rebels are?
Is that what?
I think that's it. Yeah, with the Lothal. Yeah, because it's the Lothal wolves and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, maybe he would have found Ezra Bridger, who's a really sort of big Jedi guy, as you know.
So then that could change everything.
That could change everything because Ezra would have Dooku and Kanan as masters, or maybe Dooku would say, Kanan, you train him. I'm just going to be sort of the Dumbledore on the outside here, the Gandalf, guiding, but you train Ezra.
The Saruman, if you will.
Yeah, the Saruman. Yeah. But yeah, that's a cool idea because that then would tie back into Palpatine. And the Rebels having an impact on the whole formation of the stories, and it would be Dooku sort of as a shadow operator.
So then the next question is,
okay,
at what point does Dooku reinsert himself into the story? Is he there in the first Death Star? Is he somewhat later because he's maybe that's too close, he's not ready yet? Does he come back in episode 5 or 6? It would then change the entire course of things, wouldn't it? If he turned up in episode 4, Luke Skywalker wouldn't really, if every other event happened as it did, but Dooku was separate and came back, Luke Skywalker would be there, but would he be required? Probably not, because they'd be looking at an actual Jedi ready to do actual Jedi stuff.
Yeah.
And not an apprentice.
Ready for a master. Because Yoda was kind of his master, wasn't he, Luke's?
Yeah.
And if Luke was already on, where did he go, Dagobah?
Mm-hmm. That's where Yoda is, yeah.
You know, Yoda was hiding so well, I don't think Dooku would have found him there.
No.
So he would have probably had to have come in a later film. But by that point, Luke and Vader's storyline would have already been on the way. So all that would have happened was they wouldn't have been able to use him because Palpatine had to be killed by Vader.
Yeah.
So maybe he would have just joined the Rebels, and maybe he would have found Admiral Thrawn.
Oh, okay,
maybe he would have been a bit more involved in his storyline and not Palpatine's. Maybe he's gone, right, Palpatine ruined me.
Yes,
but now my focus has got to be helping the Rebels defeat this guy. That's my saving grace, or something like that.
Yeah, maybe.
I only say the Rebels because I love the Rebels, and it actually would have been quite nice to, if he was like a Ben Kenobi but on a different world. It's just like parallel sort of storylines, isn't it? But yeah, because I don't think they would have been able to bring him back in.
No,
because Luke and Vader has to have that sort of convergence on that final point where Vader kills Palpatine. And
yeah, that's Luke, the only way that Vader sort of redeems himself, isn't it?
This is it, and how Luke then sees it as finishing his training, because it wasn't killing Palpatine that finished his training. It was he's the one who brought Anakin Skywalker back.
Yeah,
at the bitter end. So yeah, ooh.
Yeah, so it could be completely different.
Yeah, and it would have just been a whole animated thing. You would never have seen Christopher Lee in real life again in the films.
No, sadly not.
But the impact he would have had on the other side of it would have been monumental. Maybe. Because it's that thing, isn't it? If he didn't die, they wouldn't be able to use him again because the storyline has to work in different ways for Anakin's story to progress.
Yeah.
So they would have just used him in other things. Maybe he would have found more.
Yeah,
And maybe that storyline would have continued through, like I say again, Rebels and Clone Wars animated stuff, whereas the films and Luke and Leia and Vader and all the rest of it would have just been a nice little separate main storyline sort of thing, whereas Dooku would have been involved in other things.
As you mentioned Darth Maul there.
Go on.
Brain's still whirring. Vader kills Palpatine. Vader then dies. There's always two Sith. What if Dooku and Darth Maul met up? Dooku became the Sith Lord, or vice versa, although I doubt it would be that way.
I think Maul would have been probably going for it, but then he's a bit crazy by then. By that time, Maul is just obsessed with Obi-Wan Kenobi because he'd done his little black sort of market dealings, and I think if Dooku did show up, he would have probably just tried to kill him, and then one of them would have died, and then the story would have just stagnated again. Because even if Dooku said, look, although it depends, because if Dooku was still wanted to be a Sith, even though the Separatists are gone, what would he have done? He would have tried to take over Maul's little enterprise, maybe.
But we say this, when we find out in the main story that Darth Maul is still alive, Obi-Wan's been dead for ages, defeated by Vader.
No.
Yeah, so
Solo is long before.
Oh, that was in Solo, wasn't it?
It's
yes,
Solo,
wasn't
I think.
Yes.
Yeah, Solo is actually based long before. Solo is, I think, chronologically, it's based just after.
It is in a weird time.
I think it's between the second and third film.
Oh, okay. So not between 3 and 4, but between 2 and 3.
I think so.
Okay.
Because that's when the Clone Wars are based. So, and that's where other things happen. So,
I suppose things would be locked down, but they were more stormtroopers than clones, I thought. So when they're trying to, so when Han Solo is trying to escape from where he is, and he's going through the gate.
So Order 66 has happened.
I think so. Yeah, I think it's between 3 and 4, because I think they're more stormtroopers now, and less clones. So it must be somewhere between there. I mean, it's before 4 regardless, because he's
young. When he finally meets Ben and Luke,
yeah,
he's grown up a little bit.
Yeah, still
and
immature.
Obviously, Chewie just lives for much longer.
Yeah.
Because Wookiees have some sort of 200-year lifespan, don't they? But yeah, actually, in saying that, when the clones turn, they're already just after Order 66.
Yeah.
Because from Bad Batch, you learn that they're already training normal people to take over, while the clones are still active before they get decommissioned. There's that sort of limbo time where people are getting trained, and yet the clones might be either kept in service, because I think there's only a fair lot of them are just sort of thrown onto the streets because they age quicker.
Oh, okay.
That was the point.
Yeah, because of course they just grow so quick.
They grow so quick, and then they become old quicker, and then they die. And that's the point, because they're only soldiers for.
And that's why you don't see so many in the
later films. Yeah.
Yeah, because it should be full of them.
Yeah, but they're all getting old quick.
Yeah,
you
think dead before the time we get to episode 7, probably.
Yeah. So in Rebels, you meet Rex and stuff, but they are old men. Old men. That's
something I'd never considered. That makes a lot of sense.
And that's it. Well, they wrote that in, didn't they? Because they said, oh, well, there's none of them in the. It's only Boba, but Boba doesn't have the aging gene because Jango wanted a perfect clone of himself.
That's because he was his actual.
He wanted it as his actual son.
Yeah.
Even though it was just a perfect clone, he didn't want the aging gene in there.
And that's why when you meet him, he is a small boy.
Yeah, and then he's a normal man.
But there's other fully grown clones around him.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Oh, it's a lot to think about, because I think Dooku's a great character.
Yeah.
And it's just the little things like his swordplay. You know, he invented one of the Jedi sword techniques, I think, or there was some sort of sword thing he invented.
Yeah.
He invented it. Christopher Lee did, and then he put it in the film,
which is incredible.
Which is just incredible, yeah. And he plays a great bad guy.
Yeah, I think he's got a look about him, hasn't he? That's
and he's because he's basically as well James Bond. Because when James Bond was written, it was because of Christopher Lee's brother-in-law or something, and he looked at Christopher Lee and was like, "I'm going to write a book about this man, but I'm going to call him James Bond." So the James Bond is essentially Count Dooku.
That's nuts.
Saruman. It's nuts, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just he's done all these things, but
right. Well,
is that time? Is it?
I think
that's a good place to stop.
I think that's a good place to stop. I think we've
covered enough angles there.
Yeah, it's tricky to sort of. There's no way to define where the story would go, but it's always good to think and theorise about what might happen.
Well, this is the point, isn't it? We're just spitballing ideas, aren't we?
And we hope that people enjoy listening to us talk nonsense, and maybe you've got your own ideas and get involved on our little social. Send us an email.
Yeah, have a chat in the comments. You know, see what you think about it.
Find us on Instagram at WIQGDD.
Yeah.
Easy to remember.
Yeah.
It's just What If Qui-Gon Didn't Die acronym, because that's far too long to have
as a name, yeah.
As a name. And the same again at gmail.com, and you can get involved. Let us know what you think. If you've got any ideas.
Yeah, I'd love to hear them.
Yeah, and we'll when we start getting some of these through, we'll start reading them through and discuss from there.
Yeah, definitely. The sound of it. Well, Happy New Year, everybody, because we're recording this on.
This is a New Year's Eve one, which you might have seen us do a little video of.
Yeah, but so Happy New Year. Be good.
Yeah, look after yourselves
and
stay out of the sand.